Welcome to the second episode of our sleep series. In our previous video, we spoke about the relationship between sleep and stress and why are we finding it hard to fall asleep during this pandemic. In this part, we are going to talk about the consequences of sleep deprivation, the impact of caffeine, of technology on our sleep patterns, and what can we do to get better quantity as well as better quality sleep. We have with us Dr. Pooja Shivam Jetli. She's a clinical psychologist and she will be answering our sleep related questions today. Hi, Dr. Pooja. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
So, Dr. Pooja, I am going to jump right into my questions. Will you talk to us about the short-term and long-term consequences of sleep deprivation? There are, I've been going through some studies which show that people with chronic sleep deprivation have significant health problems. Talk to me about it.
So sleep is very, very important. First, we need to understand what is the purpose of sleep.
Right.
Sleep is when the body gets into the repair mode, consolidates all the information, all the learning that you've done during the day. And if that does not happen, that means you're not giving it time to be prepared to face the demands of, the next day and to function in an adequate manner. And a lot of people with significant physical health issues have had disturbed sleep or very faulty sleeping habits or patterns, and that has actually paved the way for a lot of disorders and a lot of physical ailments that they have had. If you're not the consequences of not getting proper sleep, they can be huge, and they can impact your immune system, your heart health, your endocrine system. People have come up with diabetes, memory problems, forgetfulness, mental health issues. I mean, in mental health issues, in fact, mental health issues also cause, anxiety. Mental health issues also cause sleep disturbances. And in fact, when we are, taking the history from the client as to what is worrying them or what is causing problem and why they're seeking a professional help, we often and very critical question is how's their sleep and how's their appetite.
Right.
And when I say that, because these are very two basic functions which are so important for body to function normally. And often we have seen that people with significant mental health issues have appetite and sleep disturbances. And with that, I don't mean that it's always less. Sometimes more appetite and more sleep is also an indicator that there is something which is not okay, right? So again, the risk of inadequate sleep goes beyond just the tiredness. It leads to a poor performance in your work life, in your personal life, risk of injury, health problems, any of that. So I think it's extremely important that we understand that we should take our sleep very seriously. Also, the anxiety and mood disorders and those with regular sleep disorders, they are also, apart from anxiety and depression, they're also at risk for heart disease, heart failure, irregular heartbeat, blood pressure, stroke, diabetes. And if you talk to a physician, I'm sure he'll throw light at a whole lot of other physical ailments. But I would say that if you're not sleeping well, definitely your perceptions, your mood, your cognition, everything gets affected, which is again the breeding ground for mental health issues.
Right. Actually, you're absolutely right. Every doctor that I've spoken to, be it a heart specialist or a physician, or a gynecologist, a dermatologist, everybody says that how important sleep is, how important it is to have a sleep schedule. So you're absolutely right when you say that it impacts our health in so many different ways. I'm going to move on to our next question. It's a very interesting question. I want to talk to you about naps. We often hear that napping in the daytime can kind of aggravate sleep disorders. But again, there is a case for taking a nap to make up for missed sleep, with like you said, it is very essential for your immunity to that you get adequate amount of sleep. Will you talk to me about naps and how they affect and impact our sleep?
So research has told us that naps can actually, help you.
Right.
Again, it's not there's no universal rule, but yes, naps can give you more energy, help you focus better, and where a lot of successful people have often talked about, how naps really help them cope up with the demands that they had in their professional and personal life. Having said that, I think it is also very important to understand that when the body takes a nap, it's actually filling in the sleep debt or the deprivation that the body has gone through. However, in certain cases, it may have it may not have a positive effect, especially if you're finding it difficult to fall asleep in the night.
Right.
What is very important to remember is when are you taking a nap? All right. So the time of the day. So if you're sleeping, if you're taking a nap later in the evening or early in the evening, I think it won't be very advisable for someone with, who's having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep or is experiencing disturbed sleep.
Right.
Also, the duration. Duration is very, very important. Keep it very short. Even if you're napping, keep it very short. And I would say that people with significant sleep disturbances should completely avoid. And in fact, they should, sleep. They should consult a sleep specialist. There are people who are actually practicing and are providing professional services to people with sleep disturbances. So please consult them, because a professional needs to understand your sleep cycle and then advise you.
Right.
Caffeine, again, another thing. Sometimes people take a short nap and then they'll have caffeine. Excessive caffeine will also not help you. So in certain cases, napping will have a whole lot of positive effects. However, if you are experiencing difficulty falling asleep, especially in today's times where our patterns of sleep have gone for a toss, because you're sleeping anytime and anywhere, and we are not really maintaining a structured routine. Napping can actually pave the way for sleepless nights.
Right, right. I think this is really useful information, because since we are all working from home, so there is always that we are kind of, it's very tempting to take that post lunch nap or one of these things, but I guess we have to be careful about those. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was, what if you notice signs of sleep deprivation in your colleagues, or your spouse or your children or your friends, or someone older in your family? What can you do to help? What is the right thing to tell them?
I think the most important is to understand if they are maintaining what we call a sleep hygiene. A
Right.
lot of people do not maintain a sleep hygiene, which means that there are certain things that you need to keep in mind before you go to sleep, and that starts from a few hours before you go to sleep.
Right.
People don't realize that if they are having difficulty falling asleep or they're having difficulty staying asleep, they are actually probably stimulating their brain or doing everything which will be counterproductive for them to, have a calm, deep sleep, which will make them get up the next morning afresh.
Right.
Caffeine intake is one thing. A lot of people have coffee, tea, very late in the evening, and that kind of interferes with our brain remaining alert. Also, this gadget that we have, whether it is your mobile, whether it is our iPad, whether it's a computer, whether it is television, the news that's coming, there's so much of information overload, Arnika, that the brain is stimulated, and if the brain is stimulated, it will never be at rest. And when the brain will be active, you will not have a kind of calmer state while you're sleeping, or you won't be able to sleep well. So I think very important is to maintain sleep hygiene, and by that I mean that try not to access any kind of disturbing news, or maybe especially, I mean, keep your gadgets away at least an hour and a half before you go to sleep.
Right.
You can always have your emergency numbers or some ways in which people can get in touch with you, but I think it's very essential. Most of us, we charge our mobile phones right next to our bed. And the
Mhm.
first thing and the last thing that we do,
Yeah.
last thing that we go before we go to sleep, and the first thing that we do when we get up is to access the phone and the news and the WhatsApp and things like that. Again, stimulation, information which is coming. We often fall asleep watching a series or watching the news. Again, you're stimulating your brain.
Right.
Um, what people can really do is limit your caffeine intake later in the evening. Try to stay away from gadgets and stimulating information and activities.
Mhm.
Put on a calming music in the room before you go to sleep. There are a lot of these audios which are sleep inducing, stress relieving, which you can really put on, and they in and they can play either in the room, or you can put it on your in your phone, which you can access to your earphones, where you will be able to probably calm your brain and calm yourself down. Practicing pranayam, relaxation, all of this can be done. Now, when you have a family member who's actually not doing any of this, the first thing that you must do is you must see that at least this is being maintained.
Right.
And also during the day, there has to be the sleep timing should be maintained. It shouldn't be that you can sleep anytime and get up anytime. Most
Right.
people are not maintaining structured routine, which is causing sleep disturbances in them. So if you see a colleague, or if you see a family member who's probably facing difficulties with sleep, first look into this and suggest changes. If you still feel that it's not moving, then seek professional help.
Right, right. That's a very interesting point actually that you made about mobile phones, because especially right now we are constantly scrolling. There are also a lot of people who find it hard to sleep, without watching something or going onto Netflix or one of those things. Is there any advice that you have for them?
I think we all need to exercise some amount of regulation. I would not use the word control because it's very unhealthy and negative. And the irony of the whole thing is that people who will watch this interview will watch it in one of these devices. I just hope they don't do it very close to the sleep time. But having said that, I think what is very important is that regulate. I mean, indulgence in these activities. I'm not saying that you don't watch a series or you don't do that, and you don't do that before your sleep time. Do it only once a week. Don't make it a habit. Don't do it every day. For most part of the week, I think it's important that you maintain a routine and a structure, and at least the basic habits of getting up, going to bed, should be maintained. So out
Right.
of 7 days, 5 days, be very particular about it. Exercising is very important. Um, 2 days, do whatever you want to, but 5 days at least try and maintain this pattern. Also make it a habit to maybe talk to your partner, talk to your child, maybe read something nice, maybe write a diary, do something which diary of gratitude in today's times, because we're again looking only at negatives. Maybe all of this will have a very positive effect on you before you go to sleep. Maybe in the last 1 hour, or 1 hour before you go to sleep, you could do any of this, and it might just help you get a better sleep. Because if you're surrounded with positive thoughts, if we give positive suggestions to ourselves, it will definitely have an effect on our quality of sleep.
Right. Well, that's really really helpful. I'm going to try and practice some of the things. Is there a final message you would like to give to someone who's struggling with sleep deprivation or with a sleep disorder?
I think what is very important to understand is to acknowledge that you actually are facing difficulty sleeping peacefully or sleeping calmly, or that there is a concern. I think that's very important.
Right.
We've given a lot of inputs that keep away from your gadgets, maintain a routine, don't limit your caffeine intake, stay positive. I would say that if you're finding it difficult, whether you actually need professional help or not, keep a sleep diary. Track, how you are, how many hours did you sleep, what was the difficulty. It will give you it will also help your therapist. It will also give you a better insight into your sleep pattern. Also, a lot of people self-medicate, and a lot of people resort to unhealthy ways to fall asleep. I would say that would be a big no-no.
Right.
And it's okay to not get a sleep for a day or two, but if you think it's becoming a pattern, there's no harm in seeking help. And seeking help does not mean just popping in pills. It means working on the underlying, worries, anxieties, thoughts, which probably is or maybe certain habits which unknowingly you've imbibed over the last couple of months, which is contributing to your sleep disturbance.
Right. Well, this was such an insightful and a very enriching conversation for me. Like, I hope it will help some of our viewers as well. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we hope that we can do our next video really, really, really quick. I just want to tell our viewers that if you have any questions for us, have any questions for Dr. Pooja, you can leave it in the comment section and we'll make sure that we ask her in the next video. So thank you so much for talking to us.
Always a pleasure. And I hope we all get, and all our viewers are able to sleep better and are not so disturbed. And I hope the video and the inputs help them. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.